Hello, beautiful people. My name is Oluwole Godwin. Welcome back to Emoji Economics. What shall we be talking about today? So I'm talking about national income and national saving. So we are still on national income accounting, national income and national saving. All right. So the first question is: national income is a composition of what? Okay, national income is simply the composition of the private sector income and the government income. So it's as simple as that, the private sector income and the government income. So that's what national income is all about. Everything that we talked about when we're talking about the national income using the income approach, we could categorize them into the income that goes into the private sector and the income that goes to the government, which is tax and all of that. So national income equals private sector income plus government income. So the next question is, what is the private sector? Now, I know many people out there might be thinking private sector is business. Of course, when we see the private sector, most of the time we are talking about businesses and businesses. Anyway, the private sector is a non-governmental sector of the economy, and it is the combination of household and firms. Household and firms. Okay, so when we are talking about private sector income now, we are talking about household income, firms, and firms income. Okay, household income and firms income. Now, to make the story more explanatory for us to understand what we're talking about better, if you want to look at the national income from that perspective, we say national income is equal to private sector disposable income plus the government income. Now, I've made an alteration to what I said initially, so which was just private sector income plus the government income. But now I'm saying that national income, in the real sense of it, is the private sector disposable income plus the government income. So why am I saying disposable income? Now, if you just see that national income is the sum of the private sector income and then the government income, remember that if we said that government income majorly is from taxes, okay, for many people, but that's not the only source of government income. That was just done in economics to make everything that we are talking about easier. Government makes money from other sources. Okay, so now by the time we come back to uh, private sector income. So if we not add disposable, if you do not add disposable income, that means you are saying private sector income before tax. Okay, tax has not been removed. And if tax is the source of government income, so tax has not been removed from the private sector income, and then we are saying the government sector is making money from taxes. So we are including taxes here, and the tax is still inside private sector income. So that means we'll be counting tax two times. So that is why national income, in the real sense of it now, is the private sector disposable income. We've removed the tax from the private sector income, and then that is what is now appearing on the side of the government income. So that is how it works. Now, as an individual, for example, if the income you're making, as you're watching me right now, I don't know your age, but you're likely going to be in your teen, and your early 20s, like that. So there's a possibility that you started making money for yourself. Now, I want to ask you, the money that you have, is it equal to the money you are actually making? Okay, now put in other words, the income that you have, is it the income from the productive activity that you are engaging yourself in? Is it from what you are producing? Is it from where you're working at? Is it equal to the salary of where you're working at, or the wages of the factory you're working at, or anyway? Now, the thing that you get to discover is that the income that you earn, or the income that you have, is actually greater than what you are producing. The income that you have is greater than what you are producing. Okay, in other words, if you're working with a firm, for example, and you're paid wages and salaries, at the end of the day, you might discover that you are likely to have more than the wages and salaries. So now, why is that the case? Okay, if you guys are still friends, are still students, receiving stipends from your parents, and you are lucky to be working somewhere on a part-time basis and so on and so forth. So you are receiving wages and salaries from working in the firm, whether on a part-time basis or on a full-time basis, and you are lucky enough that your parents are sending you stipend. Now, do you earn your stipend? Do you earn your stipend? No, you do not earn your stipend, but it's an income to you. It's an income to you. Okay, what about if you're receiving benefits from the government? Let's say you earn scholarship, a scholarship of, let's say you got a scholarship. Now, a scholarship is like an income. It's because it is equipping you to enjoy a kind of education that you wouldn't have enjoyed if you do not have the scholarship. So it's like putting money in your pocket to afford something you couldn't afford before. Now, did you work for that? Was there something you produced in order to work for that? No. So that also represents an income to you. So at the end of the day, we discover that the income that you earn is broader than what you're actually producing. Now, by the time we bring that to the economy perspective, from looking at the economy in total, now the private sector income is actually greater than the GDP. That is, the income that the private sector makes at the end of the day is greater, or is very, very likely to be greater than what it is actually producing, because they are income from other sources. Now, remember that GDP is all about income from currently produced goods and services. Now, if you have a father who is a retiree and receives pension, pension is an income to the person, but pension payments is not going to be included in the expenditure aspects of calculating GDP, because it is a transfer payment. It's under something we call transfer payment. It is done for a job that was done before, a job that was done in the past. Okay, it is not for a currently produced goods and services, but to the recipient of that income, of that money, of the pension, it is an income to that individual. So you see reasons why at the end of the day, the income ends up being greater than what was actually produced in that particular year. So now let's come back to it. So the private sector is household and firm, like I said initially. Now the private sector income. So what is the private sector income? Is equal to the GDP, what the private sector is actually producing, which is firms, the firm part of the private sector, plus the net factor payment. I've talked about this before. The net factor payment is simply the net of income received from abroad minus income paid to foreigners. Okay, so income received from every citizen working anywhere in the country, and then you subtract income that is paid to foreigners from that. Okay, so that gives you the net of the income of those that actually remains with the country when we're talking in the domestic aspect of it. Now, plus transfer payments. Now, let me expand it on transfer payment. Transfer payment is broad. So transfer payment is made for goods and services not currently produced, okay, or for goods and services not produced at all. Now, if you receive scholarship, like I said initially, you didn't produce anything, okay, so that's a transfer payment to you from whoever it is from, for whatever agency it is. Maybe it could be from a business, a corporation, and it could be from the government itself. So it's a transfer payment. Now, when we look at something like unemployment benefits, okay, unemployment benefit as well, that is also a transfer payment, but not unemployment, of course, the person is not employed. Okay, so which is also for no productive activity, no current productive activity being carried out. Now, the other aspect, which is the pension aspect, for example, is for jobs that have been done before, goods and services that have been produced in past times. All right, so transfer payment is all about is the combination of these two categories: goods and services not produced currently, final goods and services not produced currently, and the payments also made for goods and services not produced at all. Okay, so but the recipient of transfer payments in whatever form it comes enjoy it as a form of income. Okay, as a form of income. So if as I am working now and I receive a bank alert, I receive a credit alert that so money has been transferred into my account from the government, of course I should smile. Yeah, I should smile. So because it represents an income to me, but then it's a transfer payment. I didn't produce anything, so it's not coming from the GDP aspect. It's coming from this aspect. How about interest? Okay, so this is interest payment on government securities, on government loans. Okay, I've invested in treasury bills. Okay, and the interest. Okay, I would rather call this a passive income. Okay, what you receive, income is, some people talk about income being divided into two, not in the economic sense of it now. You have passive income and active income. So whatever you get from here is an active income. Whatever you get from here is more or less passive income. Okay, your money is working for you somewhere, and whatever interest that it yields is going to be part of your income. Okay, so that is why this is here. Okay, so this is interest payment on government debts. Okay, on government debt. Well, if you look at it, I was thinking about the interest rate generally, maybe the interest generally. What about mutual bonds? If you should invest in mutual bonds, it's also kind of a passive income. Whatever you get from it is should be part of this, of course. But it's all about depends on the items that you have in a given question and what you have to do with the item. So what you basically need is the understanding of how these things work, to know what to add when you're calculating the private sector income, what not to add, and so on and so forth. So because we are talking about the private sector disposable income, and I think I've explained the difference. So we have all of this income minus tax. Now tax in whatever form, direct tax, indirect tax, in whatever form, so minus tax. So that's that about the private sector income. So we have the government income that I've denoted as GI. So government income in the technical sense of it, in the real sense of it, is not just from tax revenue, as I was explaining the other time. So government income equals taxes plus current surplus of government enterprises, okay, which is government business. So whatever business that the government runs, so whatever money comes from there, also is also a kind of is also an income to them. So plus foreign aids, of course, there are foreign aids. They have debt forgiveness. So debt forgiveness is like there is a debt before, okay, on the debit side of the account, and now there is debt forgiveness, like you are giving money to erase the debt that was on ground before. Okay, so I see it also as a form of income, and it's all forms of income to the government. But then economics has reduced the whole thing to tax revenue, to revenue generated from taxes, just to make everything that we are talking about easier, okay, for the sake of the classroom. But I really want you guys to note that government income is not all about taxes. It is greater than taxes in the real world. So government income equals tax revenue. So from there, we are done with so national income now is just all about private sector income. So just add all of these, okay, plus government income, and that's that about that. Now, what is the private sector saving? We are done with national income from this perspective. How about the private sector saving? Because you might be interested in knowing the national saving, the saving of an economy on the whole, and you might be interested in the saving of the individual economic agents. Okay, so now we have private sector saving is equal to private sector disposable income minus private sector consumption. Every consumption that is made on goods and services. So everything now equals to GDP plus the net factor payment, which is the private sector disposable income, plus the transfer payments, plus interest, received, okay, minus tax, then minus C, which is consumption, minus C. So by time, that's just a new addition. Of course, for you to know your saving, it has to be your disposable income. On an individual level, it has to be your income minus the tax you're paying minus consumption. So that gives you saving. That's if you have something left with anyway. Then government saving equals to government income minus total government spending. So I denoted total government spending as GT. So you could call it anything. Just make sure that your examiner knows what you are using, whatever letter to symbolize. Now GT equals, which is the total government spending, equals transfer total government spending, transfer payments made to the transfer payment recipients. Okay, it's part of their spending plus the interest payments, then plus government spending in general, So government spending now is equal to transfers made by the government plus interest paid out on the debt to the recipients of the interest, and plus government spending. Okay. Now government saving is now equals to the tax revenue. Okay, so government income, since we've already said that government income is from its taxes. Okay, to make everything simple, so government saving equals taxes minus its total government spending or its total government expenditure, which you have inside this parenthesis. So government saving now is equal to taxes minus transfers that it's made, okay, minus interest that it's paid on its debt to its recipient, and minus government consumption spending. This is just to make the whole thing easier. What then is the national saving? So the national saving now is going to be equal to the private sector saving plus government saving. Private sector saving plus government saving. So we have the private sector saving represented with all of these equations. So we have GDP plus NFP plus transfer payments plus interest received minus taxes, then minus consumption, then plus what is the government saving? Government saving is its taxes minus all of the transfer payments it's made minus the interest that it's paid out, then minus G, government spending on consumption. Okay, so we represent GDP as Y, okay, gross domestic product as income as Y. Okay, everything equals Y plus NFP plus. So what we realize now is by the time you open this parenthesis and the parenthesis here, so there's plus TR here and there's minus TR. So they cancel out, minus TR plus TR. There's plus interest paid out here. Interest received here minus interest paid out here. They are the same. So they cancel out. They cancel out. What is canceling out? The taxes paid here is a minus, and there is a plus. The taxes received by the government. So they cancel out. They cancel out. At the end of the day, the national savings is represented by this, which is Y income, the national income, plus the net factor payments minus consumption spending by the private sector minus consumption spending by the government. So if you have any question, please leave them in the comment section. We would like to attend to them as quickly as possible. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and share with your friends. It is good that you can make someone else understand what you've understood. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.